Around the start of ninth grade, I finally admitted that I had a problem. I finally broke because of the pressure. I needed to do something about it. I'm sure you're also aware of the feeling of the stutter holding you back in life. The sense that your inability to talk to people properly ruins your relationship chances. It makes your school life just miserable. Your job applications are that much harder, and it just makes your whole life difficult, harder than it needs to be. That every social interaction is a challenge, but only for you. I felt exactly the same. I wanted to be free from all of this before I finished school. I still want to have my college years unburdened by all of this stress of talking. And I am now at the end of 11th grade, and I think that I have made great progress. I don't need to think about it anymore. I am much better than I have ever been. And it all started with me admitting that I have a stuttering problem. Here's another video on the topic. So the first action that I took was that I asked my mother to go find a speech therapist because, as I said in my previous videos, I was too emotional to even speak about my problems. And so, no surprise, I wanted to delegate this task to my mother. After she had booked my initial session, we went there, and no surprise there, I stuttered way too much. I got too emotional because it was the first time that somebody had talked to me face to face in a professional way of the fact that I stutter. But to my mother, that was a huge surprise because at home my symptoms were very mild. I always had a knack for conversing while in non-stressful situations. Because home was much less stressful than school, I always felt comfortable there and I didn't need to think about it that much, and the problem was much less than the level that it had been at this session. And my parents had taken me to a previous speech therapist while I was in kindergarten. I was around age 5, but again to no success. And I attribute that point to my lack of effort because I was 5. I didn't think that I needed to put much effort into it, and I was a kid. I didn't know any better. And I think that just means that if you want to see some serious results in your speech sessions, you need to put in some work, maybe every day, out of the sessions, outside of them. And the actions that I took in my speech sessions will be described in a later video. Then during the course of my therapy, I started to admit to more and more people because I was recommended to do that. It started with my brother, my mother, my family, and it all went great. But the most interesting story is how I admitted to my close friend. So it all started a bit mysteriously. I started to vaguely mention that I went somewhere 2 times a week, um, to some place at that day and that time, but I didn't say where I had been going. I then started to drop some hints about what I was doing there. I was playing a game. You may think that at that time I wasn't that scared anymore of my stutter, so I started to make jokes out of it. My friend never got close to guessing the real place that I had been going, and one late night I finally decided to admit. The topic came up that my other friend, who also stutters, isn't doing that well in school. His grades are not that good. And we started discussing, why that might be. And then after thinking about it, I finally decided to bring up the topic of stuttering. I suggested that maybe he was feeling down because of his stutter. And then the conversation went on from there. I admitted it myself, and he wasn't even fazed. It just shows the fact that stutters very regularly just overthink their condition, and it just makes it worse. And at the end of the conversation, he didn't even know that such therapy exists. He thought that there is no provided help for us. And after this conversation, a wave of strong emotions flooded me because it was my first time that I admitted to someone that was my friend and not a family member. And I remember thinking about all the things that he might do. He might make a joke out of it. He might embarrass me in front of my friends. I just kept overthinking. And again, nothing such happened. The problem, there was no problem with me admitting it. I don't think it was that big of a deal for him even, because he knew I had a problem. It just didn't faze him. And after that, I was happy that I finally had someone in my corner at school. I didn't need to think about my stutter that much afterwards. I was happy that I finally had found someone in my corner in school that knew what I was going through. After that, my stutter just got better and better. My life drastically improved because I was no longer scared of speaking. And I feel like I have conquered this fear. The walls that stuttering had placed in my life, that I had imagined, all the opportunities that I knew I couldn't do because of my stutter, were gone. They disappeared. Because I now have confidence in my speech. I do not hide my problem anymore. I admit more and more. I do not hide in my shell. You need to do that too. Because if you admit that you have a problem, only good will come out of it. I know you. I know how you're feeling. I have felt the same way. You have to conquer this fear. You have to put in work, and you will conquer this fear. You will feel fantastic afterwards. You will find yourself more confident than even many of your peers. You will start to enjoy life. I wish that for you. Have a nice day.